Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
Who is Vinney Chopra? Came to the U.S. from India with $7 in his pocket, and today he has created a portfolio of over $200 million in commercial real estate. He's a CEO of 5 companies, acquiring and managing diverse multifamily portfolio of 3,500 units, and his team self-manage all the assets. Vinney has walked the walk with over 26 successful syndications during multiple economic cycles, including downturns over 12 years. He has built a very extensive educational academy to teach and mentor investors. Vinney, tell us about this Multifamily Syndication Academy.
Thank you, Whitney. Thank you so much. I'm really proud to really talk to everybody about this extensive multifamily academy that teaches new and sophisticated investors how to use other people's money through syndications. That has been my world, to buy apartments from 50 units to 500 units, and how to select emerging markets, how to do deal analyzing, investor education, other people money, syndication blueprints, everything I have learned, I teach in this academy, and over 500 lectures, and also how to manage the assets also, and along with lots of great templates and PowerPoints, everything. And I personally also mastermind coach all my students every Wednesday. So to reach me, Whitney, all the students have to, or investors have to just text the word learn, LEARN, learn to 474747, or call my team at 925-766-3518.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Vinney Chopra. Thanks again for being on the show, Vinney.
Thank you, Whitney. Thank you so much for inviting. I take a lot of pleasure coming to your show. Yeah.
I know as a daily listener to the show, you know who Vinney is, and but just briefly, just in case you're hearing of him for the first time, I would encourage you to go back to show WS01, the very first one, and then also 161. And just learn more about him. But he came to the U.S. with only $7 in his pocket. Now has over 35 years of experience in real estate, 15 years in multifamily syndication, and managing, 3,500 units. Is that right, Vinney?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Managing those all those units himself, and starting that company, and over $220 million real estate assets under the management. So Vinney, thanks again for being on the show, and going through this series today. We're gonna uncover underwriting, right?
Yes, that's right.
Dive in and get us started, Vinney.
Totally. Thank you, Whitney. Underwriting is such an important part of deal finding, and in the life of syndication, like I have been observing it for 15 years or so now, the thing is, we want to give the right returns to the investors, because investors are entrusting their dollars, their 100,000, 200, 500,000, and giving us experts to really invest that money. And in the back of their mind, they definitely want to make sure, first, would I get my money back? Secondly, would I get my returns? And then definitely, they want to make the equity gain and everything. The biggest thing on our shoulders as syndicators is to find the right market, I would say. First of all, to find the right job market, jobs, like I say in my broadcasts and interviews, because if the jobs are there, then the property will increase in value. The neighborhood will get a little bit better, so it's good to buy a C class in a B neighborhood. I always say that, or B minus. Buy a C plus in an A neighborhood is a beautiful place to do, and we were able to do that in San Antonio, some other places. Alamo Heights is a very nice place, and brokers told us, and we bought 6 properties there, Whitney. And we sold them all now, but made a lot of money. Same thing I'm doing near Houston. I bought 4 years back properties like 3-4 million, sold for 8 million. So all those are because of the jobs. See, because we were able to increase the rents. and we were able to do the underwriting conservatively. That's the other thing I would like to talk to the investors about. Please, please, please don't buy anything and everything, because you got to underwrite it well. You got to, and we're going to go deeper and deeper into the underwriting. I'll talk about in a second. But the biggest thing is to set the mind right, that we got to have an emerging market where you're going to look for brokers, uh, letter campaigns, whatever you're doing, to find the leads, off-market deals preferably, but then you want to underwrite them well, because if the numbers don't work on the paper, they won't work otherwise. So you got to really marry the numbers, not the buildings. That's what I say that also. Never marry the nice looking building and then you come and you say, okay, let me just throw something here, something there. And then, you fix up the underwriting, I call it. Never should do that. Don't fix up the underwriting. Let the numbers speak. So in the underwriting also, Whitney, a lot of people they say, I don't want to spend time in underwriting too much, and I hate that. I don't like that, because you cannot just underwrite and put an LOI in 5 minutes. You cannot. You should not. Oh my gosh, you should not. Because what if your property got accepted and then your numbers were wrong and so forth like that, or acceptance of the LOI, I meant, The thing is, you want to do quick turnaround, definitely, but go for a very extensive underwriting. What are the factors which really determine? See, you look at the P&L, profit and loss, 12 months. You got to look at 12 months. Sometimes you get 11 months, sometimes you get 13 months. So you got to make sure that you are not looking at wrong numbers, first of all. The other thing I really like to look at for underwriting's sake, Whitney, is the rent roll. I need the current rent roll. Current rent roll is very, very important. Sometimes this broker, like I just got one, he gave me October rent roll. October rent roll, October P&L, it's February now. Holy cow. How can you really see what this property is up to, right?
A lot's happened since then.
A lot has happened, Whitney, and many times they are not giving the later on P&Ls because they look bad, maybe even worse than the October one, see, or rent roll. Now, the other very good, trick I would like to tell your audience is that apartments.com. If you go to apartments.com, try to look for the property there, because those are the most current rents that they are giving at. It's called the current rent sheet, we call it in our business. It's the rent sheet with all the assumptions, all the things, how much is their administrative cost, how much pet allowance, this and that, deposit, RUB system. It tells you all there in that, frame. If you find out, like our properties, Money properties, you'll see all that. The thing is, you got to take the real rent roll as of today, plug it into the comprehensive underwriting tool, which I have. My mentor gave me 1 page of sheets, right? 14 years back. But over the years, I've expanded it and added more and added more and added more, because I'm an engineer. I like to make things so that the things work from here, changing few things, it changes here and changes there and all that. And that's what that underwriting is now, where you could control the rents increases by each year. You can control the concessions, the delinquencies, the RUB systems, the cap rates. Everything is changeable, and it just spits out real quickly reports,
Nice.
So the big thing, I would thank you, Whitney. The big thing is, as a buyer, 3 things are very, very important in the underwriting. The number one thing is your taxes. See, the seller might have purchased that property 5 years back, 10 years back, or even few years back, but their tax amount is going to be different than ours, because we are going to pay higher amount than what they paid, over there. Then the mill rates change, right? That's the other thing. So we like to tell our team members to go to the mill rate right away, to the assessor's office, find out, and then we should have that correct number. Second thing is the insurance. Insurance number is also, we should have a person, insurance broker, we call it, by the way, and multifamily especially, and you build relationship with that person. And you tell them, hey, if I give you a pocket listing on an address, can you tell me, if I tell you it's 13 buildings or 12 buildings or whatever, can you give me a ballpark number of the insurance amount? That is the other one. I see in underwriting in all the P&Ls sometimes very low numbers for insurance because the seller might have master policy, it's called master policy of insurance, like I do now for Monil communities. We save a lot of money, almost 25%, we save money that way. So we need to see how much is the real insurance. The third thing we want to talk about and look in the underwriting when we are doing is the management fee. Management fee is very important because many times the P&Ls don't show management fees. They say, oh, we are just doing ourselves. Oh, we are just managing ourselves. Or they tell the management company to reduce the charge. See, we have to be a big detective, actually, to be truthful, in looking at the P&Ls and looking at the rent rolls. You cannot take the total given to you as the law of the real truth, I would say. You got to question. Why is this tax low? Why is this insurance low? Why this, the management fee should be 50,000 and they put 23,000 in there. And then sometime, the payroll is the fourth one, by the way, which is a big one. Fourth, payroll also, you have to look at where you're buying the property and what's the going rate, to pay the community managers and everything, and the benefit package and the insurance and all those stuff amounts to finding out how much is the money per unit. We need to take $1,000 per unit or $1,400 per unit for the payroll, because it's going to come from us, right, from the property. Marketing costs, again, we have to look at what the seller is telling us, and then you have to see, okay, where is this property? Is it right on the thoroughfare? Are you going to be designing new brochures to get people to have the traffic coming in? Are you going to be advertising on apartments.com and Craigslist and local news, local websites or things like that? So it depends. The more the property is not discoverable, the more marketing cost will be there, right? Then administrative cost. Again, that one is, look at what the numbers are showing by the seller, but we need to look at what will take for us, to do it. A lot of our, investors, as they are starting out and we are promoting them, right? We need to get a property management company. So that's the other one. They need to really, really have in confidence this property management company and, find out what their charges are. How much do they charge per unit, or they charge percentage of the total rents collected? That's how majority of them get paid. The lower the number of units, the higher the percentage. It could be 6, 7, 8, 9%, 10% for 12 units, 15 units, like that. But the higher, like 100 units or like that, it gets to be about 4%. And then higher than 150, 200, it'll be like, maybe even less than that, like maybe 3%, like that. But so underwriting is such a great blueprint for us to see, look under the car. We should never buy a car like that. We got to look under the hood. We got to look under, the wheels, the transmission and all that. Same thing is true in buying multifamily. Once we buy multifamily, we cannot get rid of it right away. So we have a commitment of at least 5 to 10 years, maybe even longer. If the market takes a downturn, you got to really be able to sustain that property for longer period of time. So, underwriting is so important. That is the real crust. If I think, I talk about spinning 5 plates, right? The one is the teams. You form the teams, which we have in another discussion we just, talked about. Then we have the investors. That's a big plate to spin, investor plate. The other one, which is a big plate, is this one, the underwriting, the deal finding, and working with the brokers and getting the deals. That's the bigger plate. The loan qualification is a smaller plate. And then property management, which I say in the fifth plate, is also small plate, But this is the, deal finding and underwriting are very, very important, both
So
of them.
before we go, just like, if I'm underwriting a property, before we just really go into the weeds with that property and just really doing our investigation, what are just some high level things that you are initially going to look at, just to do a really quick underwriting to see, if this property is worth spending another 2 or 3 hours on or more, to really underwrite it in more detail?
Totally.
What are some just high level things that I need to know so I know if it's worth spending more time on to underwrite it in more detail?
Totally. Sure, Whitney. You could do that by looking at the NOI, and then please look at these 3-4 things. Like I said, if you look at just like the P&L came to you right there, I'll look at the total 12 month first of all, and try to get it in Excel if it's possible. Excel is great because you could do so many formulas that can be done and quickly, you could do it. And then the big thing is the NOI. Look at where it is. Expenses, are they at 50% or 60%? So that's where you can tell if it's a value play or not. One definitely is with the managing the asset correctly, reducing the expenses, that will increase the NOI. The other thing you have to look at is RUB system. So I like to look at in the P&L if they're collecting money for RUBs or not collecting. And then I go right down to the expenses and look at it, how much utilities they are paying. Oh, they're paying $120,000. They're collecting only $40,000 on the top. That's a value play. So I put that gap on a sideline right there. I'm going to increase that NOI right there. Then I look at their, quickly I look through their, like the taxes number quickly. So I'm not doing it in a big comprehensive way, but I'm still looking at those items, and then you just say, okay, you know what? Seems like to me, this property at this rate over here, what's the, I also figure out what the occupancy and all that, right? The properties which have high delinquencies and bad debts are problem properties. So I try to spend a little bit more time in those properties. Do I want to even go up further, because you cannot change the demographics that quickly. That's what I have found, So it's better to really do due diligence. Now, you might ask me, Vinney, would you do the underwriting before doing the physical inspection of the building? And my answer will be no. See, we never do underwriting right away. We do the police report right away. It's totally very, very beneficial to do a police report, guys. I'm telling you, you got to look at apartmentsratings.com. Look at that address on the Google and try to look at the links below. I even put the name of the property or the address and space the LoopNet, because I want to know as much as I can about that pocket listing. And that has been a sure winner, because you come across, I was just sharing with one of my students and we were recording it, and we just saw the same property was bought 9 years back. And they told us how much it paid for. So we had a big, gap right in between. How can they be charging this much? So the more research we do, and electronically, on the internet, it's so easy.
How much weight are you going to put on like price per door or cap rates and things like that?
Good point. I would say that, cap rate usually doesn't come in my equation that much, to be truthful. I'm more worried about the cash on cash. How much it will cost me to buy this and how much cash I'm going to make in a year, right? First year, second year, third year, fourth year. So that is the big thing. The biggest thing, other factor in my mind is this the right neighborhood? That is very much in my mind first. I have walked away from properties because I don't want to buy in a declining neighborhood. even though the property price was good, the numbers were great, Whitney, but it just didn't make sense because my business model doesn't allow me to, and don't call that I get into these trouble areas, which there are very good people, who do that. And I am just on the other side of it where I just feel, okay, let's just find out what needs to be done. If the jobs are not coming, it's going to be tough to bring the neighborhood up, and so that's a big thing. I like to do physical inspection, by the way. If a broker sends me a packet, I'm going zooming in to the buildings, by the way, right there on my computer. I want to see the deferred maintenance. I want to see the ducts coming down, the roof. I want to see if there are patches there. I want to see the cracks right there in the foundation. I want to see the railings going up, balconies. I want to go closer to it so that I could feel and see, oh my gosh, this is a not well taken care of property, or it's a great one. See, you could tell a lot of things because let's just be sure. I mean, once we like the numbers, and if we like the property also, and we know the crime rate and everything, then it's a quick decision to say, let's put LOI. But you got to do the police report, and then we live with it. We just walked away from a property. Somebody was shot just 2 months back over there. So it's got a stigma, and it was in the newspaper all over, things like that. So those kind of things come up with. Also, I teach my students to put the address of the property, space, Facebook, because a lot of properties nowadays are leasing through Facebook, by the way. It's a new and cutting edge way. My community managers do it very successfully. We are so happy, that they are doing apartments.com. And another word I'd like to say, Whitney, just recently we did a promotion. We were giving $100 cards, gift cards to our community manager and leasing agents because we own our own, whole company. And we said, whoever gets like 5 or more, testimonials from their establishment, from the communities, through the residents who are happy to live there, will put their, name in the hat and things like that. We got like almost 99 testimonials. Wow. 99. And Whitney, that was amazing because, see, people come to the community to live in there if there are positive people and good testimonials. So I was sharing with my team, hey, what you did, all these testimonials, it's going to make your job easy because more people will come and they will read more about it. You will have less time, easy time, closing them and so forth. But let's talk to underwriting.
Yes.
Okay.
What are going to be some of the most common mistakes you see when underwriting, or something that's going to mess us up the fastest, when we're underwriting, or something we're going to look over often, or something like that?
Totally, Whitney. I would say the CapEx budget. CapEx budget is something that can put a great deal into a bad deal right away. Because CapEx, you will go for higher loan, bridge loan, if you're getting the money, from the third party, right, from the bank or outside hard money lender, or you will be raising money from the investors. See, so the money has to come from somewhere. And that's what that amount, COC, cash on cash, if you need more cash to buy the building, the numbers go berserk, right? So that's one thing. I would say definitely sometime, I find people think that, I can get 80-20 loan. I can get 80-20 loan. Always we want to get 20% down loan. But many times they are not available in that area or the property life or whatever. So it always is good to talk to a loan broker simultaneously as we get the properties to check with them. Would it be 20-year schedule or 30-year amortization? Because some banks will only give you 20 if the building is very, 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 deteriorated. And then the other part is, of course, the interest rate, how close you want to get to the one that is available that time, plus 0.25. I try to put it a little bit higher because it takes 90 days to close. 90 days or under 20 days, rates can go higher or anything like can happen. So I think I would say in the underwriting, I look at the income first. And the thing is, you got to really, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to give secrets. That's the truth, because sometimes people will fabricate their P&Ls and they will tell you more. But if you look at their rent roll, it's a little different. See, they try to put the market rents on the top. Market rents, anybody can change in the software to market rent being so high, but it's the real rents, what you are getting. That's what you want to look into. And that will tell you this disparity also, if it's a value play in increasing the rents also, right? And please ask your broker, whoever you're working with, to give you market rent study right away. Market rent comparison, we call it also, because you want to see how your investment that you're trying to buy, how does it stack up? Has it already peaked for the rents, or is there more room for it? Right?
Vinney, are there other documents that we should ask for that maybe the broker or seller or is going to be more hesitant to give to you, but something that we really need to get?
Okay, good point. In our due diligence list, we have lots of stuff. I like to get 3 years of P&Ls if I can, 3 years of rent rolls also. It's also good to have the T3 and T6 also, which is again, a lot of lenders look at T3, T6 more than the previous history, but the history can speak a lot about what, they did. I also asked for CapEx, capital improvement amount that the seller has spent. I like to ask that right away. I say, when were the boilers changed? Number one question. When were the roofs changed? I need that right away. And then the foundation. Any foundation issues do you have? Okay, that's third. And then, of course, give me the CapEx. How much has the seller put in the last 3 years in this property? 3 to 5 years. And I need to know how many appliances have been replaced within the units, what percentage, and how many of the air conditioning units, the condensers have been replaced. So those are very, very salient things that, we could ask, because we don't want to really get into a property where we just didn't think through all those things, and those should be our always asking questions ideas, and the broker will provide you, because they want to close the deal and they will not lie. They cannot lie professionally. So they will give you all that. And then sometimes it's good to, again, ask for, I don't know, tax returns. Some people say, some people give it. I don't find, tax returns, people can fabricate those too. I've heard about some people who paid more taxes to increase the rent collections and all, but they were falsified, but they paid taxes. Now it's in the tax return. So people say, oh, that's gold. But when they picked up the property, it was not that, all that stuff happens.
Are there any other rules of thumb, Vinney, when we're looking at all this to do our underwriting that's going to let us know right away? I mean, we've all heard like the 50% for expenses, and are there any other rules of thumb where just so we could say, okay, that looks high, this looks low, that you go through when you're looking at all this information?
Oh, totally. I would say payroll is really, really one line item that I find lots of time we have to increase the payroll, because they have put it low. Management fees, another one. We need to look at that right away. The other one, which I would like to ask, is the utilities, because if the utilities are way high, that also tells us that we have a value play. They might have leaky faucets. They may not have done the flappers. It costs 75 cents to do the toilet flappers, but sometimes the operators are not that savvy. They don't go through right after the pest control goes through, because we do all that regularly, and the maintenance people go right behind them, and they are able to look at the leaks and other things and all, put a card there, or a flyer for the resident. The other thing I would say rule of thumb would be, again, insurance. Usually it's per door or per building. In a certain area, you have to have, hurricane insurance and flood insurance, and of course, property, fire, vandalism, everything we have to have. So those things also, help. Yeah. Um, we in my underwriting, it does have rule of thumbs, which we give in the asterisk there, which is kind of good. But the main thing is, that you got to try to find, again, a neighborhood that you want to spend more time in. That's the best part. I could say, just don't flounder around all over. That will not get you where you want to go.
All right, Vinney. Unfortunately, we're out of time again. Thank you again for being on the show, Vinney, and tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, sure. Whitney, they can reach my Multifamily Academy. They could just texting the word learn, 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 just like that, learn from Vinney Chopra to 474747. 474747, or they could actually text it to 925-766-3518, 925-766-3518. Also, my team members will get to them right away, will provide whatever information they need. Sure.
Great. Thank you so much, Vinney. I appreciate your time and just your expertise in 3,500 doors is that right? 3,500 doors?
Yeah. Yes.
26 syndications.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on the syndication show and providing your expertise. But I appreciate the listeners being with us. I hope they'll go to Life Bridge Capital and connect with me, and also go to the Facebook group, the Real Estate Syndication Show, where we can all learn from experts like Vinney and grow our business together. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by Life Bridge Capital. Life Bridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. Life Bridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.